David Goggins is, famous for his insane physical achievements. But what we're going to do here is actually break down the mental framework behind all of it. We're talking about the blueprint he built to literally rewire his own mind. We're going way past the highlight reels to get into the raw mechanics of how he forged that mental toughness. So let's dive in. So Goggins kicks things off with this fundamental truth. When all the tech fails, when your phone's dead, when you're in a real crisis, you can't Google your way out of it. You're left with one single tool, your own mind. It is, without a doubt, the most powerful weapon you have, but only if you're the one holding the trigger. All right, so that brings us to the core problem, the place we all start from, the uncontrolled mind. Think of it as our brain's factory default setting. It's the path of least resistance, and it's the path your brain will always take if you just let it. And this right here, this is the constant internal battle that Goggins is always talking about. Your brain wants comfort. It wants to drag you into negative thoughts, tell you to quit, and shield you from any kind of pain. And if you're not actively taking the controls, it's gonna win, every single time. It's basically a 24/7 negotiation with yourself. This is where Goggins had this huge realization. When you're facing real life, I'm talking depression, death, failure, you are completely alone inside your own head. There is no search engine for that. And that reality forced him to ask a really critical question. What's the very first tool you have to build to even survive that? And his answer was this: the repetition tool. This became his #1 method for forging a path forward when everything in front of him just seemed completely impossible, both mentally and physically. When he was trying to study for the military entrance exam, he just couldn't get the information to stick. So he came up with this brutally simple process. Read a paragraph, don't get it, write it out. Still don't get it, write it out again, and again, and again. He did the same thing with swimming. Go back, go back, go back, until his brain had absolutely zero choice but to learn. So look, the point here isn't just about memorizing stuff. It's about sending a signal to your mind that you absolutely cannot ignore. By taking away the option to quit, by giving himself no escape hatch, his brain was forced to adapt. It's like his brain finally went, okay, he is not going to stop, so I guess we have to figure this out. All right, so you've used repetition to show your mind who's really boss. What's next? Well, the next major step in this blueprint is to completely shatter and then rebuild your entire standard for what you consider normal. And this just perfectly illustrates that massive shift from his old norm to the new norm. I mean, look on the left, you see his old reality, 297 pounds, dead-end job, and he genuinely believed he was trying as hard as he could. Now, compare that to the new reality on the right, where becoming a Navy SEAL and duct taping his own broken feet just to keep moving, that became his baseline. The difference is a total rewiring of what words like effort and normal even mean. And this number, this makes it tangible, Losing 106 pounds isn't just about diet and exercise. For Goggins, it was the physical proof that his entire mental operating system had been upgraded. It's the direct result of building that new norm. So let's just be crystal clear about what this means. The new norm is when suffering is no longer an alarm bell telling you to stop. It becomes your daily commute. It's the baseline. Your mind stops panicking and just says, Roger that. This is home now. This is just how we operate. And this is where things get really interesting and, frankly, a little counterintuitive. Because once you actually accept suffering as your baseline, you can start to draw immense energy from it. You can literally turn your pain into fuel. So how does that even work in your brain? Well, first, your mind stops wasting precious energy looking for a way out. Then you tap into that primal fight-or-flight system, but you consciously choose to stay and fight. And then you have this profound moment where you realize that even though your body is screaming, even though you feel broken, you are still there. You are still functioning. That knowledge, it gives you this incredible charge, this feeling of invincibility that you can tap into when things are at their absolute worst. And you can hear it perfectly in Goggins' own words. The thought process flips from, I'm broken, so I have to quit, to, I'm broken, and I'm still here. That tiny little word, and, that's where all the power is. Which brings us to the final piece of this whole blueprint, and you could argue it's the hardest part of all, the accountability mirror. This is all about radical, brutal self-honesty. What's so crucial to get here is that this whole journey was never for other people.
Goggins points out that plenty of people liked him when he was 297 pounds. That wasn't the problem. The problem was internal. He didn't love himself. He was just deeply, deeply disappointed with the guy he saw looking back at him every single day.
And that raw honesty, that's the starting line. This isn't about finding some feel-good motivation. It's about being accountable for who you are, right now in this moment. Goggins says that daily accountability is a form of suffering itself, but it's the non-negotiable ticket you have to buy for any real change to happen. So, you see, the Goggins Blueprint isn't really about running marathons or doing pull-ups. It's a complete system for seizing control of your mind, redefining your normal, and finally confronting yourself with total honesty. And in the end, it leaves us all with one final unavoidable question to think about. When you take that hard look, what do you see in the mirror?